This is Canelo Alvarez. This is Terence "Bud" Crawford. Canelo versus Crawford. A true super fight.
Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez clash is unreal as fans relive the top highlights of the fight week while also listening to what the experts had predicted about this showdown.
Hagler and Leonard and Duran and Tommy Hearns and those kind of fighters, and by the way, Sanchez and Gomez and the great fights from years ago. This is one of those, and you're all a part of it.
They said a fight was born. Long before the bell in the quiet mornings when the city was still half asleep, and two men chose on their own to put their bodies through the relentless trials that create legends, and during that camp, Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez lived. Inside those rituals with each team existing as a world of its own. Crawford's preparation was a focused transformation as he moved up in weight to meet Canelo at super middle, and he rebuilt his body with a careful gain that was not just about adding size, but about preserving the slippery speed and precision that had kept him unbeaten. His trainers adjusted his strength and nutrition so the extra pounds fueled his power rather than slowed him. His sparring came against bigger men, and his conditioning was tailored to sustain the movement that allowed him to pick shots and vanish. On the other side, Canelo's camp felt like a masterclass in measured intensity. He went through the obvious work with pads, mitts, and rounds on the bag, but he also mixed in unconventional drills that reflected a career built on hard-earned instincts. He kicked a soccer ball to keep his feet quick and his vision sharp, and he alternated technical drilling with moments that showed he was still an elite athlete at 168 pounds. Both camps released teasers, and the story seemed to write itself, the compact, ring-schooled sharpshooter against the veteran championship frame, but beneath the clips and the hype. The day-to-day grind was strikingly similar for both fighters' size and history, complicated the simple narrative Canelo carried, weight championship experience, and the aura of a man who had survived every storm, while Crawford carried an unbeaten record ring intelligence and the hunger to chase a dangerous victory that could secure his place among the greats. When fight night came, it would not be the videos or the weigh-in reports that mattered. It would be about which. Preparation turned into decisive moments. The split-second reactions, the endless stamina, and the courage to take and to give, and for all the build-up, that was where a fight would truly be. Meanwhile, boxing icon Roy Jones Jr. shared his bold prediction before the fight, and while there had been plenty of talk about the weight difference with Bud moving up quite a bit, Jones Jr. believed that Crawford had put on enough muscle for it not to be a major factor in the bout. He explained that Terence had been bulking up to the weight just like he once did as a heavyweight, and if Crawford could deal with super middleweights and light heavyweights in training, then he could deal with them in the fight. The weight should not even be an issue. During an interview with The Ring, Jones Jr. admitted that if money were on the line, he would have to bet on Crawford, noting that the American fighter had far more ways to secure a win than the Mexican superstar. He said that if Canelo fought the absolute correct fight that he could fight, then he did have a chance and could be victorious, but if not, Crawford had 6 ways that he could win it, and the smart money would be on the man with 6 paths to victory rather than the one. With only a single way of winning, Jones Jr. did not just speak to The Ring about the super fight. He also appeared on All the Smoke, where he once again raised doubts about Canelo. The former 4-weight world champion believed Crawford was still hungry and determined to accomplish more in boxing, but he was not convinced that Canelo still had the same drive, though he did not elaborate on why he felt that way, considering the obstacles Crawford faced from moving up to a new weight class. To dealing with ring rust and navigating a difficult stylistic matchup, this marked the first time he was unable to assert his dominance and overwhelm his opponent at will, that led some to wonder if Crawford had already reached his physical peak. And whether his most dominant performances might be behind him in Canelo's case, he was coming off a lackluster unanimous decision win over William Skull, a fight that set CompuBox records for the wrong reasons, mostly due to offensive inactivity. While much of the blame fell on Skull, who spent the fight circling the ring to avoid engagement, Canelo's performance still raised concerns about his ability to cut off the ring and his motivation in the later stages of his career. Such questions, based on a fighter's most recent performance, have been raised countless times before career-defining nights, and more often than not, they have been dismissed as overreactions by observers chasing false leads. In truth, one could argue that to achieve the longevity and success required to be remembered as a Hall of Famer, a fighter must endure these storms of doubt and emerge stronger at least once in his career. Meanwhile, Jeff Horn also shared his prediction for Canelo versus Crawford. He recalled how Crawford claimed his first world welterweight title by knocking him out in the 9th round back in 2018, and Horn believed Canelo would likely try to start fast and overwhelm Crawford from the outset, yet he could also envision Bud surviving that storm, outwitting Canelo and ultimately defeating him in the later rounds. Horn told Fight Hub TV that it would either be a stoppage early for Canelo trying to batter Crawford because of the size difference, or Crawford outsmarting him, tiring him out and finishing him later with his boxing skills, much like he had done with Horn himself. Speaking of Crawford's chances, Horn emphasized his super-accurate shots and believed that if Bud could withstand Canelo's early aggression, then the Mexican could tire, leaving Crawford the window to pick holes, land clean shots, and potentially stop him later in the fight. Meanwhile, boxing legend and former champion Andre Ward, widely regarded as one of the sharpest minds in the sport, has also weighed in. His expertise earned him a role as an analyst for the Netflix broadcast of The Showdown, and he detailed what he expected from the clash. He explained on his Instagram story that one of Canelo's greatest strengths was his ring presence. Even when resting, he moved forward with the aura of control, which drained opponents by never allowing them to feel safe. He noted that both Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez were puncher boxers. Not boxer punchers, they could box, but preferred to inflict damage. And when they boxed, it was mostly to rest, regroup, or set up bigger shots. But come September, Ward believed both fighters would need to box more carefully and act as boxer punchers, rather than rushing recklessly into exchanges in his earlier comments. Ward had not made a clear prediction, but in an interview with Fight Hype on August 29th, he declared his pick outright. He said he was going with Terence Crawford despite the big weight jump and the danger of the fight, stressing that someone would have to prove to him that Crawford could be broken in will and outsmarted in the ring. Until that happened, he was not betting against him. Ryan Garcia on the same day appeared on Cigar Talk and said he thought Bud would land plenty of punches and perform well, but he did not expect him to win, as he felt those punches would likely have little effect on Canelo interview.
Bud's gonna do good. He's gonna do good, but I don't think he's gonna win. But I do see Bud like getting a lot of punches off, being able to tag Canelo with some good shots, but they have no effect. That's the thing.
He has the best chin that I've ever seen.
And nothing moves his head.
In his ultimate prediction of how the fight would play out, Garcia added that Crawford was a great fighter and one of the best, but he believed Crawford might be biting off more than he could handle against Canelo.
One of the best. I just think that he's biting a little bit more than he could chew. But you never know. If anybody can do it, it could be Crawford. You know, I do see him like when he fights. I'm like, damn, how do you beat this guy? You know, he could do it all. He could box. He could bang.
Garcia, who once expected Canelo to come out on top, now seems to be shifting his stance, or at least acknowledging that Canelo is facing a far tougher challenge than he first suggested. He admitted that his main concern with Canelo was intensity, saying he did not see the same fire that used to define him, and that this would be the biggest issue in his view. Garcia noted that while Canelo could still counter-punch and still be slick, The question was whether he had the energy and intensity he once displayed in earlier fights, such as against Caleb Plant. He wondered if Canelo could summon that second or third effort when needed. Because that had become a recurring problem, he pointed to the Bivol fight as an example where, when Bivol gave him a few extra movements and shots, Canelo ended up reacting with awkward defensive moves that pulled him out of position.